finishing up Siman Taf Mem Ches. That's Chometz Avril Pesach and Mechiras Chometz. Next week we're going to start Taf Mem Daled. Taf Mem Daled is Hemshech of Bizin Yomim. It's Erev Pesach Shchalios B'Shabbos. It's the beer, bittel, Kedika for Erev Pesach Shchalios B'Shabbos. Spend about a week or two finishing up that and some other loose ends. Some of them are Mekomos from this Sugya and Siman Taf Mem, Taf Mem Gimel. And hopefully after that we'll do a Chazara. And as Hashem Be'erech Rosh Chodesh Shvat, we'll start already Sugya B'Afiyas Matzah. So L'maisa Siman Taf Mem Ches is Be'etzem not a Hilchos Mechiras Chometz. Dinei Chometz She'over Olav Pesach. And that's the Sugya of Mishnah Daf Chav Ches. That Yid, whether it's Ba'inus, B'shoigig, we asking even if he did bittul, if there was bittul and Oinus and Shoigig, that's a Shaila in Bi'ar Lacho, to Akiva Eger. L'maisa it's Dinei Chometz She'over Olav Pesach. The Rishonim bring different eitzes how to get out of Chometz She'over Pesach. So one is by doing bittul and bedika. Then the Mishnah Berurah is also not sure. Let's say you did bittul and bedika, did everything you're supposed to do, and then you find some chametz got left over. So that's meikar. Then not Chometz She'over Pesach. The Mishnah Berurah brings some machmir, says the chatchila should be machmir even about that shayla. So we're looking for different eitzes to make sure that the chametz, even that it's kayim, doesn't have a din of Chometz She'over Pesach. So the Rosh brings from the Tosefta that there's an eitzah of selling the chametz to a guy. We saw already in Taf Mem Hey that Erev Pesach before Zmanis or Chometz, there's other eitzahs aside from burning your Chometz. You don't have to burn your Chometz. And in fact, we saw that burning your Chometz at that point, not Nishkan Klar of Kiyim or Tashmisu. Why would you burn your Chometz? Because Shita Sevi Hudul, Fi Rashi, Fi the Tur, is that you're Makayim Mitzvah Tashmisu. But Me'ikar Adin, like it says in Taf Mem Hey, you can throw your Chometz out in the street, you can give it to a guy, you can throw it to the animals, in some way found it maybe. It's not in your shus, it's in your shus. We saw all the pratim. So here, Lagabe, the din of Chometz She'over Pesach. So the Rishonim bring from this Tosefta to the Yerushalmi that you can also sell your chametz to a guy. When the chametz is by the guy, we pass him to machlokes tanoim, but the chametz by a guy doesn't have the din of chametz she'over Pesach. We pass him chametz she'over Pesach, just the knas. I had a shtickle diak, which I don't think is muchrach, but it's the pashtas anyway. That from the fact that this halacha mechiras chametz is brought only lagabe the din of chametz she'over Pesach and not lagabe mitzvah tashbisu, and by shefas chametz, even though it is mentioned over there, giving it over to a guy, the nidin seems to all be lagabe chametz she'over Pesach, and that's what the pashut pshat is. Mashma, there's no kiyum of tashbisu by selling your chametz to a guy. It's not a hashpasos. It's certainly not azoy b'sreif and a tan hashpasos whatever. We saw already in Taf Mem Hey the Mishnah Berurah brought a binyan olam. There are some shitas that by giving to a guy you mekayim mitzvah tashbisu. Mashmos, the whole context where this sugya is brought, there's nothing to do with mitzvah tashbisu. It just has to do with not being over by your own. Once you're not over by your own, you took care of your obligations. You don't have a problem with chametz she'over olav Pesach.
Could it be it was brought here just because it's more like you're really getting out of it? It's a shtick. It should be haram. It should be asur b'hanah. It should be like chametz she'over.
Well, you're right. The practical reason why it would be here is just because this is the hichatimtza where you're going to actually get the chametz back after Pesach. In Taf Mem Hey, when we were talking about giving to a guy, the pashas was just getting rid of it by giving to a guy, throwing it in the street in the yam. So in Chanam, it's a way to get it back. Fine. In Chanam, that's a deal. The Tosefta itself says a shtickle story that the Yid and the guy were on the boat, and the Yid is stuck with his chametz. Now, obviously, if you're on a boat, so there's water. So if you want, you can take your chametz and dump it over the tzad and throw it off, and then you have no problem. Kuli alma. Maybe for kiyum and tashbisu, you might have to be mafar zar liyam, but the mice have no problem with tashbisu. Obviously, the Yid on the boat, maybe he needed food to eat after Pesach. Maybe they're going to be on the boat for a long time. Lamaisa, that's the story. He's on the boat. He goes to his goyish friend and he sells him the chametz. That's what Tosefta says. Now, it's mavur sai in the Tosefta and in the Rishonim and also in Shulchan Aruch. The whole sif in Shulchan Aruch, Sif Gimel and Sif Dalet, that you're allowed to actually encourage the guy and indicate to him that it's a good idea for you to buy it from me. I'm going to buy it back from you. I might need a lot of it. You should buy a lot because I'm going to buy it back. You're going to make some money off the deal. And the Mishnah Berurah Memes paskins that you could actually guarantee it to him. You could actually tell him that I'm going to for sure buy it back from you. Just buy it from me and I will buy it back from you. That's what the Mishnah Berurah brings from a lot of places. So the only thing is you can't make a t'nai in the mechir. You can't make a hagbal. It can't be a matana al menas lahachzir. It can't be a t'nai that I'm only selling it to you al menas. That we saw a lot of pratim. The Magen Avraham has a lot of different heichatimtzas. Maybe it could be mitzamtzim and make a shear in the kinyan. But the halacha psuk is it has to be without any strings attached. It's a complete and total mechir. But you can tell the guy, and if he trusts you, there's no t'nai in the mechira. But if he trusts you, then he'll know that you're going to buy back the chametz from him. And as we'll see, so this was a problem because the guy used to actually have access to the chametz, and he actually, especially when there were personal mechiras, the guy actually took the chametz to his house, and the guy had access to the chametz. And sometimes the guy didn't want to sell it back, did want to sell it back. He would be mafsid the yid's chametz and not pay for it, and it led to all kinds of problems, which we'll see what brought us to our present day metzias of mechiras chametz, which is very far cry, very different than what was going on in Tosefta. That we have hundreds of people, sometimes thousands of people, who make a harsha to one beis din or to one rav, and he sells shlichus, all these thousands of people, sells all the chametz. Chametz doesn't go anywhere, you just lock it up in the cabinet, and that's the way the Mechir said. It's very different than what was going on in Tosefta and the Rishonim, and even in Shulchan Aruch. Now, even in the din of Shulchan Aruch, so Shulchan Aruch seems to very clearly indicate that everyone knows what's going on. He told the guy, wink wink, I'm going to buy it back from you, and it's okay, you sell it, you buy it, and it's okay. Akidekach, the Beis Yosef doesn't even understand. He brings some Rishonim, the Ben Yerucham says that don't make any haram. In fact, the Beis Yosef, what do you mean? That's the whole point of Mechiras Chametz. It's haram. You're selling it to him, you're buying it back. It's haram. Everyone knows he doesn't really want to buy it, you don't really want to sell it, you don't want to be ever buy it. Says the Beis Yosef, all it means not to make haram is that it should be a no strings attached mechira. No t'nai, no almanas, no shir b'kinyan, just give it to him and sell it to him. But the fact that it's happening for the purpose of just circumventing the problem of Bai Rabbi Matzeh, that's clear, says Beis Yosef, and that's fine. And that's the stimas mashmos of the Rosh, and the Rambam when he brings this halacha, and Shulchan Aruch, who makes no hagbala, no. So, Kipshuta, we have Makar and Tosefta, and Chazal, and halacha psuk and Shulchan Aruch, that you could sell your chametz. Again, we'll see in the oifen, the derech of the mechira, which changed a lot, did add a number of different challenges and problems, halachic problems, whether in the etzem kinyan or in the haram shabai. Maybe the haram of the case of the Tosefta wasn't such haram. After all, the guy took your little pekel of chametz and he had it by him. Shengen today doesn't leave your rishus. Let's get bothered by that. So maybe more of a harama. And for that reason, there are takasam achronim. The Rosham, the most commonly quoted is the Machzeh Shekel by us in our Simin and Tafim Ches and the Al Yerabah, who will say that as Manenu, it's hard to be makel, such a thing, to be makel Chatchila. Kiyadua, harbi machmirim b'zet, try not to sell chametz gomer. Hagam, that as we'll see, it's very mufusas. Al pi kol gedolei ha'achreinim g'lei ha'poiskim. Chasam soifer many chuvas is machazik the minhag of selling chametz. So, my says let's try to understand the issue of the haram. So the emes is that the Beis Yosef doesn't bring it. It's a shtickle hella that the poiskim don't bring mechal, but in a number of Rishonim we find that there's taka a problem of harama even in the case of the Tosefta, and that's in the Maram Chalava, the Ritva, in the beginning of Kol Shah, the Meiri, all my Makom is here. The Meiri is in the first parak, the Maram Chalava is in the second parak, the Ritva is in the beginning of the second parak. So there's a number of Rishonim that's really all coming from one Chuvas HaGoinim, Chuvas from Amram Goin, who said that even the din of Tosefta is only if it's b'mikra. That's done. 1 year you didn't manage to finish up your whiskey, or you didn't manage to finish up your things. So you found the guy, you sold the thing to Mikra. But if every year it's the same thing, going to the same guy over and over, so that's just B'taris Pikadon. It's clear it's Pikadon, it's Harama, and the Chometz is also, the Ritva says the Chometz is also Lachar Pesach. The Mechira has no mashmos and no chalos. So Maisa, we'll see. It could be in that respect, in terms of the fact that it's just, like the Ritva says, if you have a neighbor, and you're a Yid, and every Erev Pesach, the same thing, you pick up your bundle of chametz, you put it in his house, you shake hands, you go home, and every year you take it back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So that's like a B'taris Pikot. And it could be the way we're doing it, that Hagam, that our Mechira, as we'll see, has more challenges and some chesronis, but Maisa also has a Maila. That's a Mechira Gemura, Al Yidei Beis Din, Al Yidei Rav, and they sit down with the guy and they make it mamish clear it's a 100% authentic Mechira. So it could be your Mavriach. It's not clear we have the Mailas of the Mechira of Chazal, it's not clear that we have the chesronis that some Rishonim think that we had, that there's a problem of Harama. Al Kopanim, there are a number of Rishonim who think there was Harama, that if you do it every year, the same thing like we do, so then it's a problem. But the Maisa, Stimas, Harosh, Rambam, Shulchan Aruch, is that it's not a problem. The place can bring the Chuvas Hadeshin in Simon Kuf Chaf. That's actually what the Shaila of the Chuvas Hadeshin was. The person has chametz and he knows he's going to give it to the guy. The guy's not going to touch it. He's just going to give it to him as a matana or a mechira and buy it back. And Chuvas Hadeshin says it's fine and is not concerned for the haram. So the Beis Yosef, who's the first one to really address this issue in the Poskim, he addresses like the nakuda of the Rishonim, that there's a problem of haram, and then Rishonim say this haram passes the mechir. So the Beis Yosef says he doesn't understand. Of course it's haram, and of course it's Beseder Gomer. So why is it Beseder Gomer? So this is the problem that bothered many Achronim, how could we get around the problem that this is somewhat of a fictitious sale, the guy knows he's not really buying it, the Yid knows he's not really selling it, so how do we get around this problem? So, Rosh HaMedabrim was the first one that we brought up. Place came is the Bechor Shor. Bechor Shor is the Chanami. We cannot be samech on the Harama. He brings Makaris from the Gemara and Shabbos. We cannot be samech on Harama. The fact that it's a problem, meaning Be'emes, all the Rishonim are right. The Ritva, Ramchav, and Iri that said it's Harama is a problem, it's not true. And that's why we're only samech on the Mechira for Nisa Derabanan. Okay, Bali Ra, Bali Matzeh. A few months into this man, we all know by now that's an Nisa Deraisa. And we're not allowed to Chometz and Pesach min HaTorah, that's from Derabanan. So the Bechor Shor says that why with Didan is it only a question of Mr. Derabanan, and by Derabanan it's going to be Samech on the Mechira with the Harama, because we have Bittul. Everyone's Mevatel Chometz, Erev Pesach twice, Lel Erev Pesach, Arla Arbasa, Erev Pesach, Kol Kamir de Chazisi, Delay Chazisi, it's all Batal heavy Av Kavdar. So why doing anything after Bittul? Because that's what we know from the Gemara and Shulchan Aruch, that Bittul works min HaTorah to take care of the problem by your Rabbi. Your mafker, your Chometz, according to some Rishonim, you make it Hashbasa believe, it's your machshav, like Alfer. However you learn Bittul takes care of the problem in HaTorah. But Shmeitz and Kameitz, the Tzachim, the Rishonim have different reasons that we're not samech on the Bittul because the Chashashi come to eat the Chometz, because the Chashashi not going to mean your Bittul Chometz. L'maisa, we're not samech on Bittul Chometz by itself. What do we require? Bedika and beer. That's the Pashup Shad. So, says the Bechor Shor, the Chiyav Bediko beer to actually destroy the Chometz and not rely on the Bittul, that Chiyav Midirabanan, according to places Shamayach, according to Rashi for his reason, that we could replace the beer Chometz with the Mechiras Chometz. Because it's only necessary with the Rabbanon, because you have the bittul to fall back on min HaTorah. So once it's only a question of the Rabbanon, so then it's fine. So that's the Bechor Shor's taina, and that's why the Bechor Shor was very unhappy about what was going on, that the tshuva he's writing is about people selling their animals. That they're going to be nene from the guy feeding their animal chametz b'Pesach, and that's a deraisa. There's no bittul, it's not shaykh bittul, you're not mevatel an animal. You're not mevatel the guy's chametz. You're getting nene of chametz, he says for deraisa, he talks about the samech on it, he's very upset about it. Haloi Davaru, just the Maramakam, I don't know if everyone already got to the end of Taf Memches. The Ma'aser Mishabru is Meko against the Bechor Shor. At the end of Taf Memches, the last two sifim in Taf Memches are about feeding animals of Hefker, with Chametz Shal Hefker, animal of a guy, Chametz of a guy. So the Mishabru raises this issue, which Shaita was a very, very common issue. How do you deal with all your roosters and your chickens and your cows? How do you deal with your animals in Pesach? And he says that the minig is to be Meko neged Bechor Shor, to make a mechira. And he brings the various shitas over there, brings the Bechor Shor bemis. Shai Tshuva has arichas about it. Halach l'mais for Meko neged Bechor Shor. Meaning it seems a halach l'mais we assume the mechira is taka mechira gemur. We'll see there's a very big nafkamina. Meaning we do not accept l'halach. It sounds like we're not accepting the Bechor Shor's time, that we don't rely on mechira. It seems like halach we do rely on mechira. It's not up to the bittul. That's just bottom line the halach. I'm just pointing a maramakam. Now, what's the problem with the Bechor Shor? Why would we not accept the Bechor Shor's taina? It's a very geshmak taina that once you have bittul mechira. So there's two potential issues with this Bechor Shor. The first one is the technical issue that I quoted there. The Maram Komis. It's the Chassam Sofer and the Gilead and the Shulchan Aruch and the Simon Tafner. Chassam Sofer is bothered. Technically, it doesn't work. After your mevatel, when we say there's bittul chametz and beer chametz, so your mevatel the chametz you're unaware of, or even the stuff that you're aware of, then you burn it. So there's no steer between burning chametz and mevatel chametz. They're just mechazik each other. Mevatel, you burn it. But frek the Chassam Sofer, how could you be mevatel what you're moicher and moicher what you're mevatel? There's tied to this issue. If you're mevatel chametz, it's not yours. It's hefker. It blives hefker. So how could you sell it to a guy? It doesn't work. First of all, frek the Chassam Sofer, and zweitens sagt the Chassam Sofer l'chayr tzach hazar from the bittul. The regular you pick up the chametz and you give it to the guy. That's a pashup shot. You took the petal, you mevatel, and then you handed it over to the guy. So what are you talking about bittul? What bittul? You're obviously zoiche shov and you made a ganze mechira. So it's a steer. And after you're moicha the chametz, how could you mevatel the chametz? It's not yours. It's not b'shuscha anymore. It's by the guy. So first of all, the bittul just will have no mashmos. It doesn't work, and you're also going to lose your mitzvah tashbisu, which is the halachim fresh and shulchan aruch taf lamed that Rambam says that you should not do the bittul, the second bittul, until after the shreifa, because you want to mekayim mitzvah tashbisu. We're machmer to try to mekayim those shitas, and even before chametz al shreifa, and then even before is my nisser. So, that would theoretically be an eitzah, but l'fi min hagenu, it would be a problem. That's what Chassam Sofer is bothered by. L'fi min hagenu, l'chayra it's stira, and you don't want to be moicha the chametz and then burn it. First of all, once you sell it to the guy, how could you burn it? It's the guy's. You have no reshus to burn it. So the Chassam Sofer is mamish stuck on this question. He's meramis to this problem in the Chuvas in a few places, and in Shulchan Aruch in the Gillian, he says he heard from some Talmud Chacham in Eitzah, a whole shtickle Torah, that you should give some of the Chometz, a matana amanas lahachzir, to another yid, and then get it back in between the bittul, in between the bittul and the mechira, and that way the mechira, the bittul not chal, and that Chometz that was matana lahachzir, a whole shtickle Torah, which obviously no one since the days of the Chassam Sofer, maybe the Chassam Sofer himself did it once or twice. But since then, it's not the practice, so we're left with that problem. That how technically does it work? So the Stei Chemed, who Machal Mechiras Chometz is huge arichos and all the inyanim in Mechiras Chometz. So the Stei Chemed, it's in Mareches Chometz Matzah Sin and Tes, and there's a Tshuva in Nechas Yitzchak. It says a big huge arichos about this Bechar Shar. All the Achronim are handling this from Me'oz that the Bechar Shar wrote this Chiddush. This is the big handle of all the Achronim. And clapping the technical point, so there seems to be a way out, and the Pachas Yoser, there's a Cheshuk Shloima, there's a Beis Shloima, a lot of Chuvas in Achronim, and basically the technical issue we can get past with basically saying it's a Tanai. I'm Mavatal the Chometz, but obviously we have an Umdana that I don't want to be Mavatal it if the Mechir is going to be Chal. Now we know there's a problem with the Mechira might be Harama, because there's a problem with the Mechir is Harama, so Al Tzad that the Mechir doesn't work, Al Tzad that it doesn't work, then I'm Mavatal. And on the Tzad that my Bittul doesn't work, because Chazal said you can't just rely on Bittul by itself, so on the Tzad that Bittul not work, so I'm making a Mechir, and it's somewhat of a Tanai. And that's what's mashman a number from Achronim. The Ma'aseh of the Minig today is we do Sreifa and Bittul on all Chometz, even Chometz Yedua. Presumably, if you B'char Shar, that's even the Chometz we're about to sell. And then after that, close to this Ma'aser Chometz, that's when the Beis Din makes the Mechira, and that's when the Mechira is Chal, only Samuch to this Ma'aser, after you're already Mevatel your Chometz. So many Achronim explains Pachas Yoser along these lines, that you're Mevatel your Chometz, and then you go and Ma'aser Beis, you have a Harsha, Beis Din goes and sells the Chometz. And that sale, in your mind, you're masna to yourself. Every person has a hasna, has a tanai, that he wants it to be sold to the guy. If it's sold to the guy, great. It's out of his rishus, no shaykhs. And if that tanai doesn't work, then my bittul should still be chal in that chametz, and it's some kind of a tanai. And that way, we can still be mekayim the b'char shar, and still not have to be samech on the mechira, but often because of the problem of haram, and we're only being samech on the mechira for.
How is that fitting the b'char shar? At the end of the day, what if it's like? Is it like a mamarashach? Like if the mechira works, then I'm not doing.
Yeah, I mean it takes care of the problem.
You're not having both at the same time.
No, the b'char shar said you need both at the same time. Afin emes. Even Chazal never said that. Meaning, someone who does bittul also needs to do b'dik and beer. Why? Because maybe Shem Yavala Achlai, the stuff that you burn, well, I guess you did do a bittul on the stuff that you burnt. I mean, but Lagabe the Chash of Rashi and the Ran. We're choishish that the bittul is no good because you don't have it's not belev shalom. So we're mechayiv you to also. You don't need both the emes. If the bittul is good, you don't need the shreifa. Just Chazal or mechayiv you to have the shreifa to have something additional to the bittul. So here also Chazal or mechayiv us to have something additional. It just can't be a stira. It can't be like some surface problem. It has to have a machal bichal. So when I was a batal chametz, it's not sure it's belev shalom. When I throw it into the fire, it's no stira. So here the question is, frankly, it's a stira. Technically, it's a stira. How could you solve if it's not yours? And also, maybe it's a chazar, it's an akira of the bittul, it's being mevatel the bittul. So these problems we can take care of by saying the way we have both working for us to be mekayim the derabban and the bittul is not enough, is with a tanat. Fine.
I like the Rav Bartzner, if he's nimrach.
Right. That you're
So even if he had a good bittul, it still covers it. Like
the mechira.
The bittul, the mechira is covers the bittul.
Fine. So this is the chiddush of the b'char shar, and this is the derech in the achronim. There's big arichas about this. So this is the issue for the b'char shar. How, and it's an afkamina, what a person has in mind. A person has a closet full of chametz in his house on Pesach. Was he mevatel that chametz or not? So that's a big shayla. So the b'char shar holds yes, and many achronim are miyashiv b'char shar and hold yes. That chametz in your shelf, when you say kol chamir de chazise de le chazise, it means that chametz in the shelves also. And a number of gedolei achronim hold that's not the case. That there's no eitzah, it's a stir minei ubei, and you can't be mavata what you're moicher and moicher what you're mavata. Uberoishim is the grass. The grass in Hilchos Pesach at the end has a seder of mechiras chametz. The grass provides us with his shtar harsha, how he made his mechiras chametz. And the first thing that the grass has to say about the sugya of Hilchos mechiras chametz is that anyone who thinks, that's the b'char shar, anyone who thinks that you could be moicher the chametz that you're mavatal the chametz that you're moicher, it's shkagu hu b'yaveh. The b'char shar is mamish shatos. And that's also mavur in the Nishmas Adam's Tamea on the B'char Shar and the Prima Gadim. They brought Maramakim. It's interesting. Maramakim. It's in Hilchos Shabbos by Mechiras Behemoths. There's a problem for behemoths on Shabbos. Can you sell it to a guy? Problem Shvisas Behemta. So in Reish Memvav Mishpitzois Hey, the Pri Megadim has the same problem. What's their problem? Harei the Achreinim Be'etzem Pachzus have worked out a way. There's a lot of different mahalachim. Let's say it's the derech of the Tanai, another mahalach. We found a way for the B'char Shar to be halal. You could sell what you're mavatal. You could sell the Chometz Hamavitelas. You can mavatal what you sold. It's a Tanai. So what's the problem? So the Graz has a very simple problem. If we make it, let's say it's B'taras Tanai, or however it's going to work. But Lamaisa, the way Bittul works is that you're mavatal Chometz. Either that means you're mafkir the Chometz, or you say it's ka'afra da'ara, and you're mashbis b'leiv, and it's not nechshav l'klum be'inecha. There's a bit. In fact, the Graz, there's no bittul. Meaning you're saying that monavshach. Either there's a mechira, and if there's no mechira, there's a bittul. In fact, the Graz, there's no bittul. How could there be a bittul? I mean, you locked up the chametz in your closet, you have thousands of dollars worth of chametz, you're watching over it, you're protecting it, and you're just waiting for the minute that Matzah Yontif comes in, you can take back the chametz. So where's the bittul? Where's the tzad bittul? We have a tzad mechira and a tzad bittul. The tzad bittul has to be known as a tzad bittul. And the Tal Derech Zu in the Pri Megadim, Ein ha-bittul moyel im loy b'leiv sholem. Moment rav, ad ein ha-mafkir b'leiv sholem. So both the Graz and the Pri Megadim and many Achronim say that we don't need the B'char Shor Shtikol Torah. We're Moicher, and the Mechir is for Isser Deraisa. Yeah, it's the Hem is for selling chametz that without this Mechir be Vayra Vayvatze, and it's Chal. Just like we mentioned, the Mishnah Berurah Taka Paskins, they can even sell the Behemoths, which is Chash Deraisa, of Binyana from chametz. So L'chayra. So the Erste Zach is what's Taka the Pshat in the Parsha? Where's the bittul on something that you're sitting in your house and it's all locked up. And if you recall, and the Sif Hey, in Unzer Simen, Sif Hey is the Rashba. The Rashba that we paskin, a Yerushalmi, Shitas of Yochim, the Yerushalmi, that even if you're mafkir and mevatel your chametz, it's also after Pesach. Because we're choshesh for harama. What's their harama? So we discussed by Richos in the earlier shir. The Rashba speaks out that we're afraid that you're not going to be mevatel b'leiv shalom. Rather, what are you going to do? You're going to be mevatel or mafkir, and have in mind, I really hope no one takes it, so I can take it back. Almanas to be zoicha boy shuv, and that is a problem. That is a bittul and a hefker that doesn't work. The way the Mishnah Berurah quotes it at the end of Taf Mem Hey, he says if you put it out, even in a makom hefker, where you have das that I'm being mafkir, but you're really hoping and waiting waiting for the minute that you can take it back after Pesach, it's not nechshav hefker gomer. The Graz says it's bal yirah in the Hilchas Mechiras Chometz. Whether it's Bal Yirah, Derabbanan, Deraisa, it seems to be a steer in the Graz. The Graz says it's mamish not hefker. You aren't mafkir chametz. The bittul doesn't work if you have tas to be zoicha again. Even if you put it in makom hefker, if someone comes along and takes it, it's one thing. But if no one takes it and it's sitting there and you're just waiting to take it back, and we saw that's a machlokes rishonim. In Taf Mem Hey, the Darkei Moshe brought the Ar Zarua. The Ar Zarua said it's pseudo. You can taka be mevatel chametz mafkir chametz almanas lizkois b'shuv, and we passed like the Rashba. Darkei Moshe, that's a problem, and you lie with either an Isser Derabbanan, maybe even an Isser. That's not nechshav a bittul. So the kivun b'das and b'char shor, that it would be shaykh bittul chametz on chametz that's locked up in your aron, would be a little bit al derech what we discussed b'shaita, that this Isser of the Rashba and neged the Or Zarua that we say that bittul has to be b'leiv shalom with no kavanah to be zoicha. Generally, that means that yes, if you have chametz in your hand and you say yes, I'm mevatel b'leiv shalom, and you put it into your closet and close it up, that's the chayr steer to the bittul. That's bittul where it's almanas to be zoich in it again. We had many hechetimtzas, which were at least a shayla in the poskim, where you can have chametz yadua. Bottom line is, we know you're going to get it back after Pesach, and afal pikin we can be sedach on the bittul. It's considered a kosher bittul, like we saw in the pasha the case of yatsa b'shiyarim koydem lamed yoyim. Or oisa beisa oitzer koydem lamed yon. In all these cases, we saw there's a shayla in the poskim that if you leave your house 3 months before Pesach, 4 months before Pesach, even if there's chametz yadua, it's a halacha psuk in Shulchan Aruch, it's a gemara, it's a Rambam, you can rely just on bittul. So in your summer home, you have the whiskey out there we discussed. You could just be mevatel, it's fine. What's the din of the whiskey after Pesach? So that's a shayla in the poskim. L'maisa some poskim hold that chametz is not chametz shabbat Pesach. In our simon, there's a very mechudesh, sounds like a mechudesh thing in Mishnah Berurah. It's a Chaf Hey. Says the guy's on a boat. It's probably this tzir. A guy's on a boat, and he remembers, it's Erev Pesach, I'm on the boat, and there's chametz in my house, chametz yadua. And he says in front of 3 people, I'm mafkir the chametz, which is sitting locked up in his house on the lock and key. Says the Mishnah Berurah, who after bringing kol minei chumras, without chametz shel Pesach, you did bittul, when you did bittul and bedika should be machmar, but b'chiyai gavna, there's no knas, you did everything you're supposed to do. Once you had no chi of beer, you can be samich on the bittul. Ay, hare, where's the bittul? You need bittul. The teretz is, l'chayra, anon tzadi, and he's a yid, and it's Erev Pesach, and it's almost Bal Yirah, so he's mavata b'leiv shalom. You're right. Both he knows, and you know, and I know, the Chometz Pashtus not going anywhere. But he's mafkir about the b'leiv shalom, so he should know what he's saying, and he should mean what he's saying, and that's it. So here also, the mashal, I think the hafchana would be, you sold it to the guy, so you're obviously locking it up, it's the guys. What about outside, it's not the guys? I mean, what would theoretically happen if the guy died and it became hefker, and then someone came in, another guy walked in and started taking the bottles? So you have to be aware of the fact that in a chanami, there's really a bittul going on over here. And I really have no interest in owning it. It's really nechshav be'enai ka'afradara. Allah tonight that the mechir doesn't work. We're hoping the mechir does work. So this is a very fancy shtickle Torah of the B'char Shar that everyone has to know about that aron of Chometz. I think most people assume not like the B'char Shar, which I think bottom line halacha ma'is is talking like B'char Shar. We're samich on the mechira meikar them like the grass is. But if we want to rely on the B'char Shar, a person would have to realize that the Chometz in his cabinet is sold to the guy outside that the sale works, and outside that it doesn't work, it's taka after the iron. I have no interest in. It's hefker and it's bottle and it's offer. And the chur be an afgemina. I saw a little bit of the discussion in some of the places Shlomo Zalman has in Shlomo, and they bring it in Kitzur Sefer and Halicha Shlomo. Now, what happens if a fire breaks out? So this gets into a lot of different shilos. We won't get into too many of them. If you have insurance, you don't have insurance, Jewish insurance, Goyish insurance, but if a fire breaks out and you want to save the Chometz on Pesach, is it mutter or asur? It seems to be a chalek sapleiskim. Shlomo Zalman says it's no problem. Why can't you save the Chometz? I mean, it's the guy's Chometz. So you're saving it in order to make sure that you will have the Chometz after Pesach, but that's not called Hana. You bring this Kama V'Kama Rayas, why should not be Nenav in the Chometz right now? You're saving the guy's Chometz. It's a big revach for you, because the guy is probably not going to pay for that Chometz if it gets burnt up. We'll discuss that in a minute. But, Lamaisa, what's the problem with the guy's Chometz? So, I don't know, he doesn't address the B'char Shor over there, but B'char L'fi the B'char Shor, it would be very problematic to save this Chometz. Because outside that it's sold to the guys, you're saving the guys' chametz. But in the B'char Shor's world, we're living with a manavsha. We're living with a suffix. Maybe it's sold, and maybe it's a pile of dirt. So alatzat on the 50% chance, or whatever percent it is that it's the guys, you can save it, no problem. But on the side that it's dirt, how could you save it? L'chayr, that's a chazara from the bittul. You're trying to be zoichet to save it. So l'chayr, you are displaying and showing with your meisim that it's not bachal, it's not after the ara.
Is that really you're saying at the end of the day, how much the guy's going to lose $10,000? He wants to save it. So now, Baker didn't, according to B'char Shor, he didn't know a fire was going to happen.
Okay. When he was Mabatal, you mean?
When he was Mabatal, he didn't believe
In a Chanami. So maybe we can start that B'char be like we discussed, the question of Hefker, Ashkwas B'leiv. If Bittul is Hefker, so I have no kavanah to be Zoichet, I just want to save it. But if bittul is hashbasa b'leiv and it has to be mamish like dirt, so you're advising that to you it's not dirt.
Even though you're saving that's
what I'm saying. In the B'char Shor we have to be yitzhak both stadim because there's two sides of the equation. On the tzad that it's the guy, seder gam. Fine. That's what Shlomo Zalman says. But now let's live in the tzad for a second. That because in the B'char Shor you must have that. You have to have two kasher stadim in the B'char Shor. They have to be yitzhak in the tzad of mechira. Now let's be yitzhak in the tzad of nish mechira. How are you being yitzhak in the tzad of nish mechira?
So even on Nish Matira, without the Hefker and special belief, Erev Pesach, you were mamish
100%.
100%. Now on Pesach, you didn't make a kinyan on it.
The question is it a chazar from the bittul? So I hear maybe you have to go so far as to say. So maybe there is a question they're showing in the beginning of Kol Shah. I didn't have a chance to look it up. I think it's a Sefer HaMichtav who thinks that Lefi Rashi, if you're Mavatal Chometz and it's possible believe, so then it's Tali. So if you don't hold of Achshave, then you can eat the chametz on Pesach because you're just eating dirt. You're not over by your own. It's the Sefer HaMichtav on the Das Rashi. They'll feed the Rishon that holds hashbasa b'leiv that it's like dirt. So you're eating dirt. Who said so? So how does it become ice dirt? Because when you eat it, there's a svar of Achshave. So that's really what we're saying. Is there an Achshave when you go and you start saving this dirt?
So according to Rashi, though, that's wrong. According to Rashi, once you find it, you're going to have das and you're going to have...
Right. So that's the chashash.
You're not undoing your bittul.
So that's the question: are you under the so l'chayr l'fi B'char Shor? It's a much shiverer shayla of saving the chametz. L'chayr you're advising that it's not. Maybe you're meaning bizoich. Maybe it's a chazar from the bittul. It's tzarich yibozel l'maisa.
You could save it on Tanai.
Well, right. That's the question. That's exactly the question. You can't save it all the time. But outside, no, I'm not saving it. I'll call banim. Bottom line is halacha l'maisa, like we already quoted from the Shabur and Makdim. Halacha l'maisa, the Graz, Prima Gadim, many poskim, as we'll see, I think Rav poskim, say hold them ikra din. We're not worried about the Bechar Shor's time of harama. The question is why, which we're going to discuss now for a few minutes. But if you're not choishish for harama and you hold the mechir is good, kipashtus hataysefta Yerushalmi Shulchan Aruch Rosh and Rambam. So then you could just make the mechira and we're saying on the mechira, even lagabe and isideraisa. You have to make sure our mechira is a good mechira. You have to take it very seriously. It can't be a joke, and you have to make the proper kinyanim. But if you're saimich on it, then in a chanami. So I think halacha l'maisa is what many poskim and Sholazam I think was correct in saying that you could save the chametz, even if. So we can handle it out according to the Bechar Shor. But even if according to the Bechar Shor you would not allow to be saved the chametz, halacha l'maisa you can save the chametz because unless we did a real mechira. And when it comes to a shayla have sib beruba, so maybe it's half a bottle of chveis of Jack Daniels. Then you don't have to go save it and be over on the Bechar Shor. But if it's a hefsed meruba, which generally it's a question of hefsed meruba, many people only sell chametz when it's a question of hefsed meruba, chametz kamer that is. So then you could just rely on the shitas and the Pasha Shulchan Aruch that the mechir is a good mechir. So why is the mechir a good mechir? Let's assume the pashtus. Let's go back to the pashtus, right? The first mahalach we have in harama is the Bechar Shor. But without the Bechar Shor, if we're talking about an Isser Deraisa by Rabbi Yimatzeh, and obviously if you're selling it, you're not being mevatel like the Graz, so why is this not a problem of harama? Where's the toikef of this mechir? So this is also a big arichos in Achrayna. I quote here a few chuvas from Chassam Sofer. In your Dea Shinu and Ebenezer. Chak Yankov speaks it out in Taf Mem Ches. The basic kivun that the Chassam Sofer says, many Achronim say, is that Lamaisi you sit down with the Gazr. You make the kinyan. And especially Bismanom, B'shaitom, it was a personal kinyan. He made it to Kiyas Kaf, he took your bag of chametz, he brought it to his house, he went home. So you made a kinyan. Yeah, if the Be'edim here, as far as we see, the kinyan was done. Everything else that's going on in the guy's mind, Dvarim Shabalev, and Dvarim, Chassam Sofer, as long as we see a Maisa kinyan, a Kasher Maisa kinyan, Kedas, Kedin, that's what you have to be very careful about. But as long as that's done, everything else is Dvarim Shabalev. Chagag says, of course, the Yid is be'emes makne. He doesn't want to be over on by Rabbi Matzeh, so he's gomer makne. We have an umdin of the much. Of course, he's gomer makne to get rid of all his chametz. And then we have the Masas Binyamin that the Magen Ram quotes, who learns that Bechlal mechiras chametz is an easier kinyan, is an easier mechira to be mechal because of the svar of the Ran. That anyway, the Torah is really schlepping it out of your shos for you. The Torah is really getting rid of it, making it hefker. It's really hefker on its own. Narvaz, who Torah is going to put it back in your shus. So the Ran, famous Ran says you just need a gilui das. So Masas Binyamin applied that to kinyanim, and so you could also get away with more shvacher kinyanim, since anyway it's really out of your shus, and we're just chazal. The Torah is really putting back in your shus. For that, it's easier to rely on shvacher kinyanim. That's as far as mechudeshes. But some achreinim also point to that Masas Binyamin to explain why also lagabi the problem of harama, because anyway, so it's not 100% believe sham, but anyway the Torah is okay. You just need to gil das, and certainly the Yid, talk to Chak Yankov, certainly the Yid has to gemir das. He wants to add of shus, he wants to be over by Yirah, doesn't want to be over on a laugh. So this is basically the again mamish al regalachas, that you make a proper kinyan, everything else is dvarim shebelev, and avada the Yid wants it out of his rishus, and avada that should take care of the problem. Now, obviously, this is not a galat to Eitzah, and I quote here in the Chuvas Shai. It's not a Chuv, it's in the on Shulchan Aruch Tafim Ches Gimel. So it's obviously not galat, because obviously the Yid wants it out of his rishus. But the Torah and Chazal give you many options to get out of your rishus. B'li pikvah, burn it, throw it in the garbage, throw it into the yam. So even though in a chanami, even when the Yid is giving it to a guy, he really wants it out of rishus. He doesn't want that king. The question is really mitad the guy. Does the guy really want to buy this chametz? Does he mean? Does he intend to? So Zav Erech Shai, what do you mean Dvarim Shabalev? We know that Dvarim Shabalev believe Kol Adam, but it's an umdana de muchach lakol, that there's actually no toikif to this mechir. So then it's shared to be samech. And like we mentioned, that's what the Machzah Shekel says over here in Sefkat Daled and Al Yerabin Sefkat Zayin, that the minhag to make the mechira was for the yain saraf, the whiskey makers, that they were machzik, the haranda, whatever how you pronounce it. They had the business in the town. They had the license for making whiskey, and it was a huge hefsid. So for those big hefsid, we were bent over backwards to make the mechir. But the way the mechir is done, mamish with tons and tons of chametz, and it's a guy on you who can't afford it, and we have an umdana that he's not really interested. So that's the pickbook of Machzah Shekel Yerabah. that it's Dvam Shavlei V'Chol Adam, so there's no Mechir. So in Minchas Asher is really already tshuva. The tshuva in Minchas Asher, Chelik Beis Memei, is not really about Mechiras Chometz per se. It's about Harama in general. And there is Meirach Kam Mekayros Spheres Memes that we find in Chazal. And sometimes we have no problem with Harama, sometimes we do have a problem with Harama. And the Memes we find by Mechiras Bechar, the Yordei Shin Chaf, that we rely on Harama, that you're selling a Chelik of the Behema, so it shouldn't have a Kedushas Bechar. So you're selling it to a guy, that's Harama, we rely on Avir, the Makar is, we did Meiser Sheni that we rely on Harama. There are many Afanim we rely on Harama. So that's one Taina. And that's what it sounds like from the base basis. He says, I know it's Harama, but Lamaisi made a Kenyan, and the Kenyan is Chal, and the guy says, I agree to buy, and the Yid says, I agree to sell. So very nice Harama, but Harama is Chal. That's what it sounds like from the base Yosef, and maybe the fact that you find in other sugyas, you can't be Medama one sugya to the next, where Chazal asked Harama, and here, there's no problem. That's what it sounds like from the base Yosef. Over there, in the tshuva, the Rav there raises another issue with which other achronim raised, that from the sugya of Matnas Beis Chayrin. Okay, so that's a sugya Nedarim about someone who's moider hana from someone else, moider hana from his father, from his son, and you can't be get hana from my suda. Then I changed my mind. I really want to be mahani you from my suda, so I could just be makna my whole suda to my friend, then you could be nana from that suda. So it's mavur in the Gemara, without getting told the details, but that's the din of Matnas Beis Chayrin, which is passed in Shulchan Aruch and Reish Chaf, Darm, that it's not a matana. It's a Arama Gemura, and it doesn't work. So the Chayr Lefize, it's another one of the halachas and the nidoinim in the big shaila of Harama. So this L'chayr would lead us to believe that maybe Mechiras Chometz is similar to Matnas Beis Chayrin, where everyone knows it's not a real Mechir, and it's just trying to circumvent the Isser, so why should it work? So the Rav there, he says a very simple point, but which l'chayra is a big eitzah for the Mechiras Chometz, and l'chayra that's the kavanah of the Chassam Sofer and the other achronim who said that once you do a proper kinyan, everything else is dvarim shabalev. And you say it is that he's talking there the nafkamina between being makna your whole suda to a guy and Mechiras Chometz. The ma'aseh Mechiras Chometz is that the guy. Let's start Matnas Beis Chayrin. When I want to be Mahana Reuven to my Suda, but I can't, so I'm making everything I have to Shimon. Shimon gets absolutely nothing out of it. It's just a fictitious thing that it's not Nikral Shmi, it all belongs to Shimon, and now Reuven can be Nana from it because Shimon wasn't Moider Hanaf. Shimon doesn't really get anything out of it. I just people make a cake Sudar and it's all in. Shane came the guy, especially Bismanenu, in the age of modern commerce. So the guy is being Oisik in a very simple, profitable, basically risk-free. We'll see the risk-free issue might be not so clear, but a risk-free, as far as he's concerned, a risk-free business opportunity, and he makes a few bucks off it. Meaning, what happens in the end of the year is he buys the chametz, Kenyan gomer. He obviously doesn't pay for it because he doesn't have millions of shekel in his pocket to pay for it. But Lamaisa, it's his, and he owes the money. And then Matzei Pesach, we buy it back from him, and along the way, he makes some money off this deal. We buy it back from him. Maybe there's different ways to do it. To give him money. But let's say we're going to buy it back from him officially for more than he paid for it. So let's say he's going to make $200 off the deal. So that's he's obviously would have great Gemir's das and a real rutzon to really own it. And when they come back and buy back the chametz, I don't know if probably depends on how smart the guy is, as we'll see from some of the achronim. These guys sometimes are really not the brightest. But if he's aware that he owns the chametz, and he knows that he's going to sell it back and make a few dollars off it, that's exactly what Shulchan Aruch says. I mean, that's what the Tosefta says. You tell the guy, it's kedai for you to buy this because I'm going to buy it back from you, and you're going to make some money off the deal. You're going to be marviach. So it's just like anyone who buys any type of product, or you buy cheap and you sell high. You buy a product that you found cheap, and then you know that I know there's going to be a market for this in a few weeks, and I'll sell it back and I'll make more money off the deal. So why would it not have Gemir's das? It's great Gemir's das. And even though there are some risks in this purchase and in this sale, Sai mitzat the koinat, sai mitzat the moicher, especially, Rav speaks there about the Osem selling their warehouses of chametz. That's if the guy actually comes and says, I'm going to take all your warehouse chametz, it's going to be a big problem. Say this, so there's a risk. What are the chances he's going to actually come and be memamesh the Kenyan and come and actually, very, very, very slim. So every business transaction comes with some risk. So you're taking some risk. And the Maisa to Mechir Gemur, so there's certainly Mechir's das Tzai, mitzad the moicher, the Yid wants to get out of the shus for those 8 days. And the guy also it's a real business deal, so he keeps coming back every year. And some of the chuvas It's true with Pirush V'Yitzir. We'll quote a little bit of it soon. They say that in every shtat there was a Chometz guy, they called him. The Chometz guy was the one that they Shahir Nikra Chometz Akum, Chometz guy. He was the one that they sold every year because he knew if he had the schus to be the Chometz guy, then you're gonna get a little bit of a few free l'chaims in Erev Pesach to finish up the Yid's booze, and you're also gonna make a few dollars off the deal. So that's a big hatzal. That's in taina of harama. Oh, but b'choloif, and that's the Chasam Sofer, and the Pashas of the Beis Yosef is that Lo Matzinu a klal gomer that harama doesn't work, and certainly here we're making a kinyan gomer, and it's the emes for the shtar, and he's signing, and the makne has das makne does man bayira, and the kohen has das kohen that he wants to be kohen to make his money. The real issue be'emes, which is very problematic mitzad amitas hadvarim, so we can emes understand that amitas hadvarim. Yes, the Yidden want to sell. Osam wants to sell their chametz to this guy because they don't want bayira and they don't want chametz for Pesach. And yes, the guy wants to make a few $100, so he wants to buy the chametz. The problem is that and this is, I think, the most problematic clause in the shtar mechiris chametz is that there's another issue, and that is a Yid cannot take a chrayas for chametz. The way we do mechiris chametz, it stays put. So it can't be in the rishus of the Yid, so we're masker. We'll discuss why we're masker, not moicher. L'maisa, a Yid cannot take a chrayas. A Yid, the Gemara in Daf Hey says, if a Yid has a chrayas for the chametz of a guy, and it's in the Yid's rishus, he's over by your other raisa. So we're selling the guy the chametz. So the chametz now belongs to him. Yes, your whiskey can belongs to him, but you can't be makabel a chrayas on that chametz. So what do we write in the shtar? Very simple. The guy buys the chametz. He owes the balance of, let's say, 10,000 shekel. And we tell him, it says in every shtar mechira, any oinus that happens, even if the Yid is pesheya, meaning if the Yid is like flicking matches at his house, pesheya, pshia gemura, yeah? And his house burns down and all the whiskey gets burned down, God, you still have to pay. That's a terrible deal. No one would ever make such a deal. That is the biggest kaviyachal harama, the biggest joke in the contract. That who would make such a deal and accept all achrayis, even for pshia and for einstein, which is in every single shtar mechir. It has to be, because otherwise the Yid's makabel achrayis. That's Aleph, and Beis, the guy's not. It's not true. The guy's not going to pay for it. So what would happen if it happened? There was a big loss. So we have there's insurance on a lot of the big, the big hefsedim is insurance. But let's say it wasn't such a big hefsed. Someone doesn't have insurance, and $1,000 worth of whiskey gets destroyed. So he goes to the guy and says, "Yeah, go. You have to pay." It's a joke. The guy's not going to pay. He never planned on paying. He never thought about paying, and he's not going to pay. So this is the Makar Chaim's taina. Makar Chaim taina is that it's a big problem. Why? Why is it a big problem? Because if the chametz is not in the achrayas of the guy, and we all know that even if you sign 100 documents, unless you really get a rich guy who really, in court with a lawyer, really signs anything achrayas, stam is not taking achrayas. So it's up to B'kar Chaim. It's not in the achrayas of the guy; it's in the achrayas of the Yid. Because if this chametz gets lost and burnt and destroyed, who's taking responsibility? Who's taking the hit? Who's taking the loss? The Yid. So that's achrayas of the Yid. That's B'kar Chaim's chiddush, as we'll see. So B'kar Chaim says the only way to get out of that is to sell the makom of the chametz to the guy. Wherever the chametz is, if you sell the makom of the chametz, then even if Yid has achrayas, a Yid who has achrayas, the chametz a guy in the rishus of the guy, that's the So we don't sell the makom of the chametz. We actually can't sell the makom of the chametz because it's in your house, and you can't sell a house and have to sell it to the guy because the problem with sechanim aleph. Beis, the problem of selling your house to the guy is a much bigger problem because that's a very big haram. That's like heter mechira. You're selling your land, sell the land, the whole Eretz Yisrael to a guy. So that's a problem. No one really intends there's no amitus to that sale. That's a real haram. So the place can all say that you can't sell, only rent it to him. So B'kar Chaim says if you rent it to the guy, so it means it's still in your rishus because it's chiyus l'kaim. So you have the chametz of a guy. The sale was good, but the achrayis no achrayis by the guy. The achrayis by the guy is achrayis by the guy. So that's one of the. That's in terms of the problem of harama. This would be the strongest time. That the haram, the kabbalas achrayis, that line in the contract, everyone knows is not true. Now maybe you'll tie that you could take him to court, and if it would be a proper document, they would. But this is a poor Arab; he doesn't have any money, he doesn't. So the ma'aseh is Baruch Hashem. Roiv kol hapoiskim. The Chometz has huge arichs about this. It's Chasam Sofer, Chometz, Shlomo Kluger. They're cholik on this B'kar Chaim. How can you be cholik B'kar Chaim? It's a Gemara. So it's not mamish Gemara. The Gemara says a Yid can't be makabel achrayis. Kabbalas achrayis of a Yid means he's a shomer pashut. There's a machlok to shomer. Does he have to be a shomer sacher? Is it even a problem to be a shomer chino? A shomer means I agree and accept upon myself the obligation to watch this, to protect it. That is not happening here. The Yid says, I kabel no achrayis, even he signs away, no, even pshia, ointzin, nothing. I'm not responsible for anything. We know that if something happens, the guy won't pay, and the male, the Yid will sustain a loss. Taina all the poskim, that's not achrayis. That's a bad business deal. So there is a certain aspect of this business deal which is a very, very bad financial deal for the Yid in the end of the day. It's on paper, it's bad for the guy. Because he's signing away achrayis for every pshia that a Yid could burn down his house and he'll still have to pay. So that's a very bad deal. And often it's a very bad deal for the Yid, because really he is the one who has achrayis. I mean, because he's not going to get the money. So you made a sale, you sold something, you think if you sold it, it's your responsibility. No, it lies on the Yid. But that's all just that he's going to be soivel the losses and the damages if something happens. That's not called a kabbalas achrayis.
That's another reason why you can't say Chometz and say it's shul guy.
Why can't he say it? No. So that again, if the mechira is good, and I'm saving it for the guy, so fine, that's okay. The question is, let's say it will actually get burned down. I can't save it. Who's going to sustain that loss? Not the guy. He's not going to pay. So the guy was not makabel achrayis. We write he was. It's his sign that he was.
If he saves it, he's still saving for the guy. Fire's happening.
Yeah, you could save it for the guy. Right. My point is like this: that since it's actually this. All the achronim are cholik so stark in Makar Chaim that I would think that maybe it's better to take this out of the shtar. This line in the shtar is one thing that's like a bit of a joke. He's not makabel achrayis for $1 million of chametz. So why do we put it in there? Because the Yid can't take a achrayis. So let's just put it in the shtar. The Yid's not makabel achrayis. The Yisrael's not makabel. He's not watching it. He's not saving it. He's not doing anything for it. He's not responsible to it. He can do the guy a favor and save the guy's stuff. He's not responsible. I have no achrayis for this chametz. No one has tainus on me what happens to this chametz. Is the guy makabel achrayis? We hope so. In the big factories, they have insurance anyways. That's an interesting line that we keep it in there. And Makar Chaim is trying, it's taka richtig, the guy's taka not makabel achrayis. Okay, so we were not bothered by that, because the Yid's also not makabel achrayis. So maybe we should write a more emistic on the Yid's not. But
is there anything that helps? Is there anything that helps?
That's a good question. So I don't know. Maybe you have to check if it's like plausible in court. Like maybe taka, they would take away his house. If we'd really follow through with it. And take the document to court and say, listen, he was makabel achrayis. He signed the document. There's Avin, and maybe they would take away this Arab's house and pay off, $1 million shekel worth of the chayv. Maybe that is a tzad. I have a feeling it wouldn't hold up in court, even though now all the shtars say, because the Riyashiv had that chumrah, shtars will say it's not just a religious document; it's a legal document. It should be have taken in a beit mishpat. What would happen if it actually went to court? I don't know. We're going to have to try. So that's l'gabe the harama. So mitzad the mechira, mitzad the kniya and the mechira, it seems to be okay. Mitzad the achrayis, the line is in the stars mechira. The achrayis, the guy's not makabel. Medina, that's not mamish a problem. Which brings us back to that what most poskim say, not like b'char shar, that when you're mevatel, you're not moicher not mevatel, and we're moicher chometz gomer, and the Chassam Sofer is mechazik this minug. In many tshuvas, he says anyone who's mefakik on this minhag is roy for Ga'ara, and the mechira is a good mechira, and it's Baram Shemalev, and it's Chal, and that's why Roiv, so I believe, so I'm not saying the El Yerabah, the Machzeh Shekel say, for most people it's very easy to get rid of. The question is usually with whiskey, we'll have to see some later sugyas, is whiskey for sure Chametz Gomer, is it not Chametz Gomer? Oh, so that's the question. So the Machzeh Shekel El Yerabah and Kayidua, the Goin had a pickbook, but as we'll see, the Goin's pickbook wasn't so clear. That could have been on the Darkei HaKinyonim, that he wasn't happy with the way they're doing the Kinyonim. We're going to discuss that in a minute. But so it's, I think, already Makubal and the Mefursim Meitzel B'nei Torah, Mahadrim B'mitzvahs, that we try. If it's not a big hefset, it's easy to get rid of all your chametz. So yeah, if someone says, no, listen, my family, I have a minhag, my family sell chametz gomer, I think there's certainly Meikar Adin, that's the Shulchan Aruch. It was Nesyashiv, but they called Gedolei Poskim, Chassam Sofer, Chashulchan, Graz, the Shtar Harshav selling chametz, the way we do it is already Nachal Shiva. It's from Kadmonim already, and the Bali pickbook. So there is a pickbook, because the Machzeh Shekel says, Bizmaneinu, it's Taka Shver Azach. L'maisa, we have a hesber that the Das Makin is there, the Das Kohen is there, the Kinyanim we do mamish every single Kinyan under the sun, the Kovid Roish, to explain it to the guy, it's a real Kinyan, and everything makes sense except the Achrayis. But even if the Achrayis doesn't make sense, according to the place, not all place, that's a problem. So what exactly happened that we started making this type of mechira through our show? What happened from the Tosefta? Just brought the pekel of chametz to the guy, and he took it into his hands, and now we're doing this thing with derech hasha. And the emes is there certainly are chesronos with this mechira. one of the major concerns is we just Shabura market. Now half the second Kinyan in Chosh Mishpah, Mishpura has all the pratim over here, and it's very clear. Mishpura has a whole thing about that in the Sharatzian. The Iker Kinyan is a very big shayla. How you which Kinyan works for a guy. So the Iker Kinyan for a guy is the one that we don't do. That's Mashiach. Mashiach and Akbo, which they used to do. The guy would pick it up or do Mashiach, Akbo, whatever was right for him, bring his house. And that is the Iker Kinyan, passing like a beautiful Kafi Shitas Rav Yishan and Neged Shitas Rashi, that a Yid has Dvar Term Mas Kodesh and a guy has Kinyan Mashiach. So we lost that. And the Mashiach we don't have. So we have many others. Agav, Kinyan Kesef, Chatzar, Sudar, Shtar, Stumta, which is Minig HaSoichrim, Tzushlag, the handshake, gives the down payment. Kinyan Udisa, that Umayda, that the guy was kind of, the Ketzais and Kuf Tzadik Das, the Ketzais has a whole thing that Udisa is like Mamish the best Kinyan. Umayda Yehuda and Chosh Mishpah, Simon Lamed, they think that Udisa is like Mamish the best edition and that works for a guy. It's the strongest Kinyan and it works for Teres Kinyan. That's a big machlok Zechonim. It seems also only Teres Namanos.
Which one? What type?
Udisa, which means that your Maida K'mei Edim, Hadas Baldin K'mei Edim, that it's his, that I was makane, even though it never happened. So you write in the star that we did it. So we put that in also, even though some Achronim were against that, because that's a big machlokes that works for something like the Chiras Chometz. Kopanim, how did this happen? Why not? So even if it's easier, I don't think that's a reason to move out there on Haram. Now, obviously today, that's ready to mug in Haram in the Taz. The Medai for the True Sedeshin, you have to take it out of your house and give it to the guy. So we can't do that anymore. There's too much Chometz. He's buying millions of Chometz because we're doing the Mechir clause. Why are we doing the Mechir clause?
But the only Haron is that you're not giving it over. I'm saying the Haron is just he doesn't really.
No, I'm not saying it's Harama. The Magen Ram and Taz were talking about the Harama of not getting it over. I'm just saying there's another more basic problem. They were saying like this. There were Achronim who hold that even if he does Mashiach, you shouldn't put it back in your house because you should get it out of your house so it should look like a real Mechira. What I'm saying is, the Harama will take care of, but there's a different problem. He doesn't do Kinyan Mashiach. So we're coming out to all the other Kinyan. We do Kinyan Kesef. So many Achronim say Kinyan Kesef is Dasech Chitas Rashi. So what are we the Iker being Samech on? So you have Agav, Shtar.
Is everything wrong with paying too many Kinyan?
No. The Bir Halacha says you should be masneh, and each one should work by itself. And even if whichever one doesn't work, the other one works by itself. So the guy shouldn't think that it only works with Tzir of Kula. And the Bir Halacha makes that tonight. That's also in every single Shtar Mechira. They're masneh, which if one doesn't work, the other one will work. So, what was the problem with the personal mechiras, which would basically circumvent everything? Because once he picks it up and maybe he did a handshake and he took it into his house, mamshik and you go. So the emes is they're medayik already that the goyin is mashma. The goyin didn't have a problem with the mechira with Shulchan Aruch. Like Bir Agra and Shulchan Aruch doesn't have any problem. Shulchan Aruch says you can sell your chametz every year, no problem. It's Yadua b'shem the goyin. Meiser Rav says you wouldn't eat the chametz after Pesach because of mechir's chametz. The Maisa. It's a Shiloh and the Mefarshim over there in the Meiser Rav. Well, the Maisa, what the Goyin is mashma is that it was really only a problem that the Mechir wasn't being done properly. Because selling something after all, whether he was taking it into his house was easier, but not, some people had big barrels of Yain Sarf and he wasn't able to take it into his house. So the mail of the Mechir was being done improperly. And even when it was being done, if each person, the person to the Yid to the Goy, it led to a lot of Mechshoilas, and that's how it developed that it should be done through the thing. I'll just read you in this Tshuva Tir Shvitzer. It was a Rav 120, 30 years ago in Europe, and he describes the problems, which they call humorous. There was one guy in the whole shtat, like the Yiddish shtat, there was only one guy. They all used him. He was called Chometz. They dragged him from house to house. Everyone had a little whiskey left, so they gave him because Erev Pesach he had to get rid of whiskey. They just stopped him with the Shtar Mechir. He was saying, he couldn't walk anymore. He was partially drunk. So this is the Jewish yesterday. He says it's avada much better that the Rav should take a harsha from everyone. It's like a chiddush when the guy's not sheker. So the guy, the Rav will figure out when he's not, and then he's Yadua, Yadeu, Maven is Asik, Shoisa Ravim, they call it Davis, they call it Fanim, Shemailim, Mikinanim. So first of all, Stam, the sheker guy, that was one issue, at least in
So there's a story that Rav Soloveitchik had his phone on.
Right, yeah, that was my uncle. He was a Rav in Boston, and Salvation called him up Erev Pesach. They asked to do the Mechir through him because his guy is sheker. Boston is Irish, it's like that. So he did the mechir for all his. The guy was drunk. It's an old problem. It's a new problem. We still have this problem. The guy was drunk. That was one problem. Another thing that is less of an issue today, but bismanehem, if you were an Erlich Yid and you sold to the guy, so you have, I sell whiskey, so I sell to the guy. So in this same tshuva, he brings a maisa that was in Brody with the Shomer Kluger. He gave the guy the key, because that's the halacha. You have to either give it to him, and if not, you have to give him access. And so the maisa hayib brod, Soicher Gadol was a guy with a huge business, and he made a mistake. He trusted his shamish, the guy. As soon as Pesach came in, Yizak Habisharis is called Reya v'Oyavov v'Yelech Imam El Amartev Yishtu v'Yishkuru. They went to have a party, had free access to the thing. You have to pay for it. So that was like, well, today you can enforce it. There's law and order.
Why would he pay for it?
What?
Why would he have to pay for it?
He bought him. He bought the guy. Meaning he has to pay for all Chometz. He bought it. The truth is, Shulchan Aruch says was with a Dmei Mekach, a Muetes, you sold for a little bit. I'm not sure if they had a low price.
Deposit, no?
The kids the guy wasn't going to pay. He stopped a little nar shamish who cleaned up his toilets, and he was now having a party with all his yain zarf. So he ran to Shomer Kluger, who was the Rav. Yishal atzmi malasos. We spoke a little bit about the Ga'inis of Shomer Kluger. Listen to the Ga'inis. He said like this: Kach biyolta kaf achas kesef. Take something silver from your house. The tigish malak goes secretly when he's drunk, when they're shikker. Put the silver, simet akaf and salachas bigdal, put it into his pocket. Va'achar kach teilch beis mishpat, call the police, and tell him that your misharis stole your kesef. Okay, misharis ganav bebeis kashal kesef, v'kasher timsa ganeva etzloi, yitnos bebeis asar, v'yashasham ad achar echad. V'yas asaycher king kasher tzivo, v'atzasoy asas pri. They put him in jail for a week, and then his chometz was all saved. That was the Gubaldige Eitzah from Shomer Kluger. Not so practical today. To make a alila on the guy that he stole your silver becher. You find anything. So that was another problem that, which guy could you trust, could you not trust? So they have the kavua, the guy, the kavua, the kaharsha, and that way everything's done kedasu kedin, and the guy's not drunk, we hope. And
is that why a lot of people use people are about to be stay?
What?
Is that why a lot of times it's like an almost scare?
It's what?
I'm almost scared. Usually, someone comes to them.
No, I don't think. I've heard of people doing that, but no. Same. Rav Asher sells to an Arab, same Arab every year. In America, I was by a number of different mechiras chometzes. It was never stam good. The question is, should you try to get someone who understands a little bit what's going on? Like sometimes you see the mechira, and the guy's like, just all he sees is the dollar signs, like that he's getting. Then it's just, where should I sign? Take my suder, like doesn't. Listen, everyone, certainly that's what the place can all say. You should explain to him, he should understand it's a Kenyan, why it's a Kenyan, how it's a Kenyan, which darkei Kenyan, and he should understand it, which is exactly what the Dershowitz are saying. That's what the Rav, that's what we accomplish.
And the Rav's Arab is able to understand this?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm not sure, but I assume so. He sits with them, explains them everything. They read through the whole shtar. He understands Hebrew. All the place can say the grass. He brings the whole shtar shah. He says, but you got to also say it over in Russian. You got to explain to him. He doesn't understand the Ivrit. He can't just read the thing. He has to understand what's going on. The more, the better. Okay, so we're not going to get into all the different details. The huge arichos in terms of the darkei kinyanim, how and why we could make the kinyan. There's pikpukim in this sugya, obviously, how to make a kinyan, how to make a kinyan with a guy, and especially we're doing everything through shlichos. So there are shilos. There's shilos about the kinyan kesef, about shluchos shabal mamon, lamda shetainis, pasha shetainis. Igros Moshe writes that if you're selling for 500 people chometz, you have to at least take from the guy $5, because there has to be 1 cent for each moicher chometz. He has to be giving 1 pruta at least for each yid, because otherwise it's not magia shava pruta kol echad echad, and the kinyan kesef doesn't work. What?
What is 1 cent?
So after Moshe, a pruta is really less than a cent. But since it's the matbeah katana voice in Medina, don't give less than a penny. So I don't know for Makbid Umayis, many poskim say that you could make a kinyan pach shav pruta, kinyan kesef, koyin anisha, but kinyan kesef you could. It could be that based on the value of pruta we do have it. So that's what this whole arich is about. This teichem and his pages and pages working out. But Maisa, what we accomplished today is through the Rav or through here. It's usually done through a Beis Din. The Beis Din sits and does every kinyan kedas or kedin and explains to them b'koy v'rosh that everything's being done seriously. And we have a reason that he wants to make this kinyan to make some money. The Yid obviously wants to make the sale. So l'chayr, that's how this whole thing developed. And like we mentioned, that's the Aruch HaShulchan says that was a minig and lita. And the Sivas writes in the Tshuva that was the minig, the Graz, Nachal Shiva, and the Chassam Sofer over and over is machzik the minig Yisrael to make mechiras. So, is there a makom lahadir not to sell chametz gomer? Yeah, certainly. That's the Aliyah Rabbah and machzik shek, and I think that was also a minig that was yes niskabel. Is there makom for the chomer not to eat the chametz after Pesach? That was sold. I'm not sure. In Maiserav it says that the Goyen was the crow was machmer, but that could be because there was shvach mechiras. If we accept that our mechir is done today with dayanim and it's done properly, with the thing, Moshe writes in one place that he doesn't see any reason. He says that chomer doesn't make any sense. Chametz Shalom Pesach is a knas derabbanan. So to knas and to start trying to avoid buying the chametz that was nimker, so Moshe writes that there's no makom for that chomer. I don't know if he assumes he was aware of the Maiserav. If the Maiserav was because it was shvach kinyanim, because people were selling to Stefan, the drunken Polish guy who couldn't even understand what was going on by the time he was buying your chametz. So I can understand why that was more of an issue. But mitzad the etzem chumra, so if someone has just a push house with a half a bottle of whiskey, then you could understand the makom to be mahadir.
The green world, actually, someone's not going to